Namaskar, friends. This is Shekhar Mayanil here again with a brand new episode, number 9 of our Yogic-Neurosciences in Hanuman Chalisa. So, first of all, let me take the blessings of Lord Ganesha and obviously Hanumanji Maharaj, who is nothing but my own breath, right? So, I start with this. I would like to first of all share my gratitude with all my friends who have asked me. There are 36 people who have asked me one question, almost similar questions. So I have pulled them together as three basic questions. So I will discuss that before I go to the real juice. That might be a little later. But then they wanted to know more about what is Karuna Nidhan. And can you explain further? Because when I talk about the insular cortex and the prefrontal cortex, this part of the brain, they wanted to know more. They were hungry. So in short, so let me share and dedicate this video with all those friends. And I would encourage everybody also to do the same. Same means ask more questions. Okay. So let me talk about the abode of compassion or the Karuna Nidhan. So basically, last time we discussed Ram as manifested consciousness is nothing but our right insular cortex. So, Bhai Pragata Kripala, Dina Dayala, right? Bhai Pragata Kripala, Bhai Pragata Kripala, Dina Dayala, Kausalya Hitakari. So, what happens is Ram has got manifested. It has so it is in the insular cortex. Now gradually it will grow, and so it will occupy the prefrontal cortex and the motor cortex and the supplementary cortex. All that will become Ram now, right? Eventually. So let me go with the questions that people have asked me. First question is prefrontal cortex, this portion, and the insular cortex, just the where Ram was born, means where the consciousness descended actually. Because in the animals, the consciousness is there, but it is not manifested as such. Like it is not clear. So is that particular area of the brain underdeveloped in non-compassionate people? That is the question. So what they said, that what they wanted to know was for Karuna Nidhan, for some people who do not have Karuna at all, is that place not developed enough? Very, very, very good question. What are the signs of people who have underdeveloped prefrontal cortex or insular cortex, or in other words, in whom consciousness or RAM has not descended yet? So that is the thing. Now, third question was, how can I develop more compassion? Some people, more logical minded, basically, uh, uh, not emotional. They cannot show emotions, neither they have emotions somewhat. So they said, how can I develop more compassion? Or in short, how can I develop my prefrontal cortex or the insular cortex? How can I make Ram descend in me? That's exactly what the question is. So these friends are one of my most beautiful people. I can tell you that for asking this question. It is so important for the rest of the world, I think. How do we go about in developing more compassion, and I think which is very much needed these days, as you would agree with me. Okay, so is the prefrontal cortex less developed? Yes, it is not at all developed. You have seen the insular cortex is such a thin place during development. It's a very small place it gets developed, and if now the best thing is, once let's say it has got developed, if you do not rear to it, or if you do not cultivate further through sadhana, they call it, through sadhana, it will shrink again. So that's why it is through sadhana that gets developed. It is developed further and further and further. So if it is not developed at all, and it has no they have no motivation to develop it further, it's over. It's not going to happen. So they will be all animalistic tendencies in them. Now, what is what are the signs for people who have underdeveloped prefrontal cortex? What are the signs of that? The signs of person who has underdeveloped motor cortex is total lack of emotional intelligence. Now, you must have heard emotional intelligence and other things in psychology and self-help books, especially that's where I first learned about this. The emotional intelligence is defined as that ability to understand and manage our own emotions, as well as recognize the influence of these emotions on those around you. It is so very important. Such people absolutely do not have emotional intelligence. Now, second quality of those people who do not have properly ill-developed prefrontal cortex or insular cortex, total lack of metacognition. Now, what is metacognition? It is basically this part of the brain. It is that particular. If you have studied Vivek Chudamani by Adi Shankaracharya, you might have heard about the word Vivek Buddhi, right? Vivek Buddhi means that which discerning intellect, which means to that intellect which understands this is correct and this is not correct, but it goes with the correct. Duryodhan knew what is right and wrong, but he always would go and do the wrong thing anyway. This is what that particular fellow does not have this developed properly. Whereas the person who has this metacognition developed very strong so he would use this particular part of the brain to decipher the difference between the right and the wrong, but he will do the right and all the time. That's the best part about him. So the fellow who does not have metacognition has no knowledge about how to make a difference between that right and wrong. So metacognition, what is it? It is a process of thinking about one's own thinking. It's a loop. Yes, it is a process of thinking about one's own thinking and learning. It is intentional thinking about how you think. So basically, you are basically observing your own thought. That is exactly what meditation or dhyan prakriya, or the process of dhyan does is it allows you, it makes you first sit down, and obviously thoughts will keep coming and going, keep coming and going. What are the thoughts that keep coming and going? You have never paid attention to any of them. At this quiet point, you basically start to pay attention to one's own thinking and how you think and how you learn. All these things starts to happen that time. Okay. So I'll just, don't get scared by this beautiful slide. It has a lot of complex words and things, but don't worry. All it tells you is this part of the brain and the insular cortex. Remember this anterior insular cortex? Sorry, I'll just use this pointer. Okay. This anterior into insular cortex. This is the locus for metacognition. From here, everything starts. Then you can dorsal anterior cingulate cortex. This is the one which affects the lateral frontal polar cortex, and all this decisive decision-making process. What is the correct? So it pulls data from every part of the brain, every part of your, like the entire nervous system, and then makes a correct decision. So that's why it is so very, 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 very powerful. And no wonder these people wanted to know, what these friends of mine wanted to know further, what is this about? And if they had not asked this question, I would have not even ventured to discuss this matter with you guys. So basically this portion, or the place where Ram was born, which means insular cortex and the prefrontal cortex, this part actually is the most important part in the brain for further, what do you call, decision process and things like that. So Ravan is an example of that, who has absolutely lacked insular cortex and prefrontal cortex, I think. He might be having brilliance on other aspects, and how to survive and how to do all that, he was good at that. So which means he has a very strong, very good, very robust limbic system, but not this portion. And this portion is the most developed in Ram. So you see the difference? So anyway. So those people who lack insular cortex, like Ravan was, Ravan never showed empathy, and all he was doing is plundering, looting, raping, murdering, abducting women, and hoarding everything. And nature, hoarding nature. Can you believe that? He would hoard the nature, which means all the devatas, all this Indra, the Varuna, everything. He wanted to control them by his own prowess. So and he was involved in rampant corruption. Corruption means wherever he cannot fight, he will bribe, or wherever he cannot do anything, he will do with other ulterior designs. So, and he will never show remorse about all his mistakes. Never ever. He will kill somebody and he will be laughing on just next to it. So that type of person. And he makes mistakes, same mistake again and again and again, no matter how many times people have told. You must have heard in Ramcharitmanas, read in Ramcharitmanas, that Vibhishan, Ravan's wife, and his uncle, and everybody, even his son, Prahast, also told him, don't mess with Ram. He is not what you think he is. He is the divine incarnation. So you go and fight with him, you will be finished. So please don't do that. But he would never listen to any of those advice. So that is one of the things. So they are addicted to their wrong thinking. That is the one very, very important quality that they have. And they have zero understanding about one's own thought and the thought processes and the action which ensues those thoughts. And they show tremendous animalistic behavior, which is the reason why they show that strong animalistic behavior is animal do not feel remorse for killing another animal. Let's say if he's hungry, he will not feel remorse. He'll say, this is my food, so I'll eat it. So this is how they think. They say, well, this is most entitlement mentality people. Those people who think that they are entitled for it, that's the kind of people who lack insular cortex and prefrontal cortex. And they would not listen to anyone. So that's so we have discussed earlier that this portion was the place where Ram got manifested, or the consciousness got manifested. Now, gradually, as we progress in age or in experience, there is a possibility of this portion getting the other portions equally, it's spilling over of that compassionate behavior in all the parts of the brain. So basically every action, let's say everything, even auditory consciousness, verbal consciousness, and visual consciousness, all our actions and behavior will be geared to that particular compassionate nucleus, right? Compassionate nucleus is right here, and it spills over everywhere. So basically, Ram is present in prefrontal cortex, insular cortex, somatosensory cortex, and supplementary motor cortex. So these are the places where Ram gets manifested. So eventually, as and when it grows in age. Okay, how can I develop Mukan? This is the most beautiful part of the entire presentation. I love this one because there is a desire for somebody to go about how to go about making it happen for them. Okay, so practice deep breathing. Very, very important. There is nothing to, I've already discussed in my second episode, the pranic breathing or the Chalisa breathing that helps develop prefrontal cortex or let that Ram get manifested in you, right? Then the second is practice compassion or practice gratitude, practice gratitude. And this practicing of gratitude, I have put together in the form of this book, The Gravity of Gratitude. I would recommend everybody. Very, very good book. I myself read it, even though I have written it. Sorry, I did not write it. It got written through me. Sorry. Okay, so it got written through me. I kind of I would say revel in those some pages sometimes, because it explains in such a beautiful manner what gratitude is and how we can all develop this prefrontal cortex and insular cortex. That is the number one emotion that I think I have never seen anything that good that can help develop our prefrontal cortex and insular cortex. And the third one is practice touching your forehead to the feet of the elders, parents, teachers, in deep, deep reverence. This is what causes, this is the most, if there is a physical action, not the emotional or the feeling aspect of, if there is anything physical that we can do to develop prefrontal cortex, is touch the feet or with the forehead in deep reverence for our parents and teachers. Now, this particular aspect is coming out from a science called psychoneuromodulation. Psychoneuromodulation. Now, what is psychoneuromodulation is? It is, psycho means feelings, thought, and emotions. How these three things can alter the nervous system circuitry itself, or the nervous system connections, or the synaptic connections in the brain, just by thought. So whenever, let's say I'll just give you an example. If you are sitting right here and you are thinking about running right now, I want to jog maybe. So you know what, that particular thought itself causes blood to go directly into all your muscles. This has been confirmed by over and over again by functional MRI studies. So pure oxygenated blood will go directly into your muscles, leg muscles, directly. Now, if you are hungry, in the entire blood, oxygenated blood will go into your intestine. So, and if you are in deep reverence to your elders and you bow down like the way it is shown in this picture, then what happens? The entire oxygenated blood goes directly into this area and allows it to develop further. Because the more pure oxygen this area gets, it develops. So anybody who is not used to doing this, I can I can tell them that there is a way to go about how to develop prefrontal cortex. Ravan, for that matter, never ever did this. Now you must have heard in various katha, I would say, that Ravan, even though he was a devotee, they say he was a devotee of Lord Shiva, he would never bow down to Shiva's feet. Instead of, if he wants to touch Shiva's feet, he would lift because of his strength, he would lift the Kailash Parvat next to his head. And this is how he used to do it. So Naradji said that you should bow down to Shiva. He said, what? Should I touch my forehead to his feet? What about if I just offer my neck itself, put the entire head itself? So he cut his head and offered at Lord Shiva's feet. So this was the kind of a person he was. He was absolutely incorrigible. He cannot be corrected. So this was the quality of Ravan. He's never touched his feet, and that's the reason he was. Or, as I told you, what are the qualities that a person who has not developed prefrontal cortex or insular cortex shows is because of lack of development of this place. And all the bad qualities you can think of is because of that. And no wonder our Rishis Munis have figured out a way to develop this. And it is so simple a technique, yet it has far-reaching consequences. It is not even a technique, it is a reverence. And you know what? Our brain develops because of that. Okay. Then fourth one is practice Shambhavi Mudra. This is another most strong, very, very strong. What it is doing is basically you are basically channeling your attention in this part of your head, right? And that's where it's at. So this is the place. This is exactly the place for prefrontal. If you just go, this bone is just few millimeter thick here. So you just go behind it, it's basically the prefrontal cortex, and just go even further into it, and then you'll see the insular cortex inside. So this is where if you do that, so this helps develop prefrontal cortex and insular cortex. Practice Mahamudra, same thing, as we say, in bow down in reverence. So you can bow down in reverence to the existence. This is the way to do it also, right? And then obviously practice Surya Namaskar. There is no if you cannot do anything, practice Surya Namaskar. It'll help you with everything. I would say there is no better yogasan regimen compared to Surya Namaskar. Everything, it has everything in it. Everything. Okay. So please do that. And I would stop here. Now I would appreciate if you loved so much so far, so much, and my other previous videos, I would appreciate and that you subscribe it. Please just click subscribe button. That's all. And then share it with your friend, as many friends. This knowledge has to go. You cannot just sit there and say, oh yeah, everybody should not. If you're holding this knowledge, you are doing disfavor to the other people who can improve, or he can get better. And the best part of it is I really like to thank all my 36 friends who helped me get this whole thing in my head so that I can put forward and give it to you all. So like and press the bell icon. Thank you so much. And we look forward to meeting again in my next video, video number 10. Thank you so much. Bye.